We're good?
Yeah.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the July 25th, 2025 meeting of the Culver Town Council for order. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone that this meeting is being recorded. Your participation in the meeting is your consent to be rebroadcast on the town's YouTube channel. Also, if you have any kind of a phone that's on, I appreciate putting it on either airplane or turning it off. We've got a lot of spam calls, so phones are going off all over the place. Roll call, please.
William Cleavenger.
Present.
Justin Croy.
Here.
Jenny Monroe.
Here.
Dana Neer.
Here.
Sally Ricciardi.
Here.
Please join me for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next agenda item is the approval of minutes of the meeting 2 weeks ago. Everyone had a chance to review the minutes. Are there any additional corrections?
Fine to me, I'll make a motion to approve.
Mr. Ricciardi moves to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Neer. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Next on the item is public concern, utility ordinance violation and appeals. I noticed that we have Greg Hildebrand with us today. So Greg, this is your chance.
Greg Hildebrand with Marshall County Economic Development Corporation. I've got our 24 annual report here. I'll give you just a quick oversight of what we accomplished and some of the things we were active in 24. But what I also want to talk about is give you an update so far this year. We're about reaching the end of Q2. So far this year in the county, countywide, we've had $87 million in CapEx investment in industry. You just probably saw in the paper yesterday, or I take that back. Nobody reads the newspaper anymore. You've probably seen in the news that Hoosier Tire made a significant investment, $16.8 million in new equipment up there, which is a good indication. And actually, that's just the first step in a larger expansion process. So look for great things coming out of Hoosier Tire. Probably the largest investment we've had this year is over in Argus Sequel Wire. They have a facility over there. They're one of our higher paying industries in the county, and they're adding 100,000 square foot to their existing building. Probably about a $23 million investment in that expansion. And then they are starting a separate company under some of the same management. They'll be doing close to the same. They're a wire extruder, if you don't know. They're going to be doing a low voltage wire. They're starting a new company, and it's about a $25 million investment. So you're looking at probably doubling the workforce over there this next year. So that's a big part of what. So the year started off really well for us as far as interest in the county and interest in expansions and attractions. And then unfortunately, some of that tariff talk, that uncertainty, kind of, but that's for the most part, that's starting to shake out and things are starting to pick back up again. So things are good. We're getting some phone calls again and getting active. What we're looking for the existing year, probably from projects that are out there, we're talking they may come to fruition, may not. Probably $25 million the rest of the year. We're just kind of hoping and see what comes out. We may get surprised and it'll be more than that, but 25 million is looking what's going to happen. Current unemployment, 2.8% in Marshall County. As you know, anything under 5 is considered full employment. When it gets down to 2.8, it gets really hard for manufacturers and employers just in general to hire. So we're a little concerned about that. That is a function of a good economy and also our population. Our population as a county, I'll be optimistic and say it's stagnant. And probably reality is it drops a little bit. Just in the last couple 10-year population census, it's starting to stagnant and drop off a little. We're working on that. Quality of life is a big thing we can do, and Culver leads the way in that. You guys are champions for quality of life in the county. When we talk about what our county has to offer, a lot of it revolves right around Culver, Indiana, and what a great place it is, and it's produced people like myself. So always put per capita income in 2023, which is the most recent number, is $53,000. The reason I bring that up is we have gotten away from talking about how many jobs we're creating. Creating jobs at 2.8% unemployment is probably not our emphasis. There are probably 500 unfilled positions in the county right now. Creating more of those, it really isn't what we're looking for. What we're looking for is to increase our per capita income. And so if you look at it over the last 20 years, it's in the last probably 4 years, you can see that it's really start to tail up and start, it's part of the unemployment, as people become tougher to hire, they're demanding more wages, and so that we feel good about that. It's up. I am on the South Bend Elkhart Regional Partnership Board, and it is something that the whole region is looking at, and that's St. Joe County, Elkhart County, and Marshall County are in that region, and all three counties per capita income seems to be a real concern. And even in the state, there was an IEDC meeting yesterday, and it was they're getting away from how many jobs are being created in Indiana, just looking at increasing our wages, because in Marshall County lags behind Indiana's per capita income, and Indiana lags behind the national. And it's I got to remember the numbers here. Marshall County is, I think, 77% of the national per capita, and I'm doing this off the top of my head. But and everybody will say, the first thing they'll say is, but our cost of living is so low. It's so cheap to hear. And there's legitimacy to that. But when you look at what our cost of living is, our cost of living is only 87% of the national. So there's that gap that we're still not, up to that. So, I mean, I can, if check on that for me, but those are the numbers I remember off the top of my head. We're still, like a 12% shy of being apples to apples on that. Just a review, Marshall County Economic Development Corporation's been in business for 17 years. In that 17 years, we've been part of $876 million in CapEx in the county. Created here, we used to emphasize jobs. 4,000 jobs have been created in those 17 years. We've done 256 BR&E interviews, and what those are is business retention and expansion interviews. Every year we talk to a third of our employers, manufacturing and industrial employers, and we've added just in the last year some not-for-profits, because some of our biggest employers in the county, as you know, CMA, the hospital, some of the schools are our biggest employers. So we talk to a third every year. So every 3 years we are in touch with everybody. And those are those business retention expansion interviews that I talk about. And it's a chance for us to get an idea of, okay, what are some of the obstacles you're facing? What is your biggest challenge being in business, being in industry in Marshall County? How can we help you? What things would you like to see change? It's all confidential information. We never share that with anybody, but we will aggregate it and talk about in general terms. And I can tell you in general terms, workforce is the #1 issue that they're all facing. it was a little better at hiring those entry-level jobs. You know, that was getting a little better. They weren't having as much struggle with that. But what they continue to have issues with is those skilled positions, supervisors, engineers, nurses, things that require that next level of education. It's a tough thing to attract to Indiana as a whole, Marshall County in particular for us, but Indiana suffers as a whole in that area. Indiana ranks right in the top 15 in the number of college graduates we produce, but we rank in the bottom 10 on how many we retain. You know, there's a couple reasons the number's skewed, but that is still something we're concerned about, that we're training, you know, people that are leaving the area. So we'd like to keep some of those people if we could. We have built 3 manufacturing centers in that 17 years. Pretzels up in Plymouth was a project that we put together. Equal over in Argus was another one that we built as a spec building, and then Divert in Plymouth, and I don't know if you know, that's the one that's on Pioneer Drive that MCEDC also built that, and those proceeds were, the money that funded those was from regional cities. That was before Ready, that was a project, and the proceeds from each one of those buildings has been rolled over. And presently we have those proceeds waiting. They were scheduled to go into an e-hub. And the e-hub is something that I feel is only as effective as the programming and the resources that are connected with it. If it's just a co-working space, frankly, that's what coffee shops are for, you know. But if we can bring the entrepreneurial resources and programming in a place, then you really have what's some value. And that's what we've done in the last year and a half, 2 years. I've been plugged into the regional entrepreneurial ecosystem. We're bringing in like Indiana Small Business Development, Small Business Administration, federal money, USDA. All those people will have hours now at our office, and we're moving our office into the Heartland Gallery. You may have heard that already. And everybody asks, why an art gallery? Well, that's part of that entrepreneurial ecosystem. They're looking for a place that's in downtown. It's a community space where they can relate to other entrepreneurs, other creatives, and that's why we think it'll work out well. I got a grant this year for a community collaborative grant, and we're building out an 8-week entrepreneurial program where Indiana Small Business Development is working with us, and our first target is creatives, and we have a lot of creatives in the area, and we want to make them better business people. You know, they're all very talented artists, but we want to make them better business people so they can make a living off of that. And these people will sign up. We'll work with them for 8 weeks in a row for several hours, and at the end of that 8 weeks, they will have a chance to show their artwork, and they will get $200 stipend to use in their business. And that's just our original foray into that 8-week entrepreneurial education. We will then take that and keep that program rolling and invite different people into it as it rolls. So while our first foray is into the creatives, it'll be open to other entrepreneurs and small business people as we move forward. I think that's about everything I really had to explain to you tonight. I want to leave it open if there's any questions or anything you feel that we can do for Culver in particular. If there's anything you think we're lacking, feel free to call me. If not tonight, you know, sometime. And I know that your representative on our board, Don Fox, I think we have a letter of resignation from him. So probably take that letter in tonight, and then we'd like to leave that application system open for just a little bit, see who's interested in the position and talk about that. So any questions?
Greg, what I don't see in here is how much work you put into Even last year, the regional planning efforts, and I really appreciate this because, you know, the regional planning we did through Regional Stellar brought about 20 million to the county that may not be counted in this, but your organization was key in that. You personally were key in that as well. And if somebody in the county isn't focused on this, these things just wouldn't be happening. And I know we have county leaders who don't think we should be doing economic development vis-a-vis a corporation or supporting that financially. I strongly disagree, just so you know. Because the good I've seen come out of this organization, especially when it's collaborating with municipalities, with planning teams, with nonprofits, schools, you name it. You guys have stepped into all of it openly with very few resources. And to come out of it with this kind of result, I think
I
it's
appreciate
really
that. Appreciate that. In looking back, we put the numbers together and we've been involved in bringing back over $54 million in state funds to Marshall County from the regional cities, the two Reddys, the two Stellars, Indiana Housing Authority. A little bit of all that adds up to over $54 million. So, and while we're on that subject, I was at a meeting today that NDOT was at, and I know that Culver is concerned about the 10 and 31 and the 10 and, or the 110 and 31. The 110 and 31, that there's not a lot to decide there. It's pretty much where you put a roundabout, you know, is it going to be on the west side or the east side? 10 and 31, they had 7 different drawings, 7 different plans. The one they have, it sounds like they're going to go with is that third option that had 2 roundabouts on the east and 2 roundabouts on the west, and they would move 10 just north of the BP station. I told NDOT, the commissioner today, I said, we're not really as concerned about what that final intersection looks like itself. What we're worried about is Dewey and 17th Road that's just south of there. All the industry in Argus, I shouldn't say all, the vast majority of the industry in Argus uses that county road because there's 2 railroad crossings that are hump crossings. We had a terrible accident there in November. $1 million piece of machinery for ITAMCO got hit by a train because the truck got stuck on those tracks. We've had injury on the tracks over on Park where a truck got hung up on them. So if you cut that county road off and you have to get trucks from the north of that tracks to the south of the tracks where all the industry is, there's not much out. Matter of fact, ITAMCO would be cut off completely. So but that's our main concern. And I know that Culver, that's your main connection to 31 and that's the main north and south thoroughfare through Indiana. So I just want to let you know that that'll be going to let here in 28 and construction will start shortly after. Any other questions or anything? All right.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the room for public concern to utility? Okay. On to old business. Third read of ordinance 2025-007, amended bond ordinance.
Motion to approve.
Yeah, we've had, sorry, we've had the first,
Been through it, so-
we've had the second reading. Thank you.
Mr. Moreau moves to approve the ordinance.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ricciardi. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right. Under new business, water plant improvement bid open.
May, sir?
You may.
All right. Midwestern contacted me today and provided me with the following information. The bid form, there were 7 potential contractors contacted, names available as public record here. The bid was brought in today, closing at 4 o'clock. We received 1 bid that bid, so we will open. Peerless Midwest was the single bid that we received. I don't get a fancy. Give me a minute. I forgot my. Have a total base bid of $998,500. I can have the bid bond. Then financial statements, the Form 96, I passed it by, but it's in there. And there was an acknowledgement of the addendum. There was a single addendum. The single addendum required a different, we changed the filter system, the filter material within to be able to remove some of the magnesium on it that included, simply because it was discoloring the water. That's why we flush. He feels been advised that that's going to help that situation. So a single bid once again from Peerless Midwest, $998,500. I'm going to ask the council to take this under advisement, and I'll send it to Mark Sullivan of Midwestern, just to review the documents, make sure that we have everything that we asked for, and he'll give a recommendation back.
Was that about? Yeah, I thought it might be higher than what we were thinking.
It was, and that's something we're going to have to take under advisement and get the feedback from Mark and Bob, take a look at why.
Is there a motion to take the bond under advisement?
Make that motion.
Mr. Neer moves to take the bond under advisement of the
The
second.
bid, technically.
Take
the
bid, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
I'll second it.
Ms. Monroe seconds the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next is the resolution approving Plan Commission order and approve amendment.
That would be also, is that correct for me? Yep. We had the vote, this is related to the allocation areas and the realignment of those allocation areas out of the dune. The Plan Commission, under the advisement of the CRC, has passed this, and tonight we're going to ask for a motion approving the Plan Commission resolution to the declaratory resolution 2025-01, and it also contains the amendments to the economic development plan.
Have we seen that?
We have.
I make a motion to read declaratory resolution. So present.
Ms. Monroe moves to approve the declaration as presented. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Ricciardi. Mr. Mayor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next on the agenda is the Marshall County Economic Development Corporation resignation letter by Mr. Don Fox.
Received a letter, or actually it was addressed to Cleavenger, that basically says in the summer of 2020, the Culver Town Council approved my appointment to the Marshall County Economic Development Corporation to represent the Culver community. Having served in that capacity for nearly 5 years, I believe it's time to step down from MCEDC board and allow the town council to appoint a successor. Given both the town's and MCEDC's priorities in attractive business and housing, I would recommend the council look for candidates with experience and connection in those areas. I'm happy to continue to serve until the town council appoints a successor. And he just comments he looks forward to continuing his involvement in Culver and implementing the Destination 2040 comprehensive plan. So I did share a copy of this letter with you. What the council has done in the past is open up requests for appointments by asking people to submit applications. So if that is something that you'd like to do, I'd suggest just giving me a date of when you want to accept those applications or a deadline to accept applications, and I'll get information.
Karen, just for your information,
Yeah.
those board meetings are the second Thursday of the month at 7 a.m. If you get any questions.
If I remember right, I think by bylaw, it has to be within our town boundaries, or no, within our region. Is it technically, it's anyone we appoint, but it can't be an elected official, right?
I'm having somebody look at that.
Okay,
Because that, when I had a conversation with a couple board members, you know, and you had said something to me, and there was a suggestion of some, we are having an attorney look at our bylaws to make sure that we're clear on how that's working. And there's a couple reasons why we would have reservations about a town council member, because technically our agreement with the town would be signed by a town council member, and the payment would come from that. And it would be just on that surface alone a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
So that's why we're having to look
I just remember they wanted to keep it neutral to politically neutral.
at it. Exactly.
And then, at times they've added some seats to that board.
Yeah.
I think one was county had more money in it, so they gave them more representation. They added a seat at some point, that sort of thing.
So that's where, yeah. But that is with our attorney right now, and they're looking at how our bylaws are worded.
So we set a 2-week window for applications.
July 10th.
Maybe we should go to the second meeting in July, give people time, because you have the holiday in there.
7:10 would be the next council meeting.
Yeah, so we could go to 7:24.
I would say.
If Don's willing to go to the next meeting, that'd be one meeting on him, right?
Yeah, July 10th.
I think we go to the It bothers me when things get advertised for like 5 days. We have a holiday in there, so Karen might want to put it out more than once, kind of thing.
Should we go to the second meeting? Go
Maybe make a suggestion that, maybe if it would be the 22nd of July, that would give you 2 days to review anything, any that come in.
Yeah, and then you could call the person again.
on. We need a motion for that.
I don't think we need.
Board commission reports. Anyone here for a technical review committee?
Because I didn't see it. I didn't.
I don't know if I remember seeing it at a weird time.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I do.
Yeah, sure. If you can get there.
Not for the zoning appeals.
That's all gonna be in one
Yeah, I found,
email from Steve.
yeah, I've got it in an email from Steve, so I'll just review it real quick. The building commissioner reports for May 2025 presented in June. May 2025, there were 7 building permits applied for, as opposed to 9 in April. Total fees collected for the building permits, fence and roof permits, and BZA and plan commission application was $1,115 for April, and that's down from $2,030 in March. The building commissioner will continue to look at the zoning ordinance updates and work with the town attorney as needed, and the next zoning ordinance changes to be presented will be Article 3. There's no additional updates for the unsafe buildings. There was nothing to report for TRC. And then the plan commission, the May plan commission meeting had 2 cases, one for a minor subdivision and one for a replat. The rules and procedures for the plan commission were discussed. And then the BZA for 2 cases in May for a variance of development, and that's his report.
Yes.
Okay, I'll ask you after. I was gonna get an update on one of the cases.
Mr. Kern.
I have no answers to any questions that you might ask.
Thank you for reading it.
You're very welcome.
Mr. Ricciardi, the Redevelopment Commission.
They approved side agreement. South. Go through the south. And discussed.
The merchants came to us with a banner
Right.
request.
Banner request for new banners for all land. Light poles.
It included the brackets that will match our current light poles as well as outside of town.
Leading people to Main Street, basically.
Through, make sure we're down to Main, south, just south. And we'll head out on Jefferson Street, banners as well.
I thought they did a good job with that project too, working with you and Bob and coming up with the design.
Yeah, they were patient working with us and I appreciate it. Didn't quite get it articulated the first time that was on me. And they came back and did a great job, so.
Design was.
The report from the Tree Commission.
Yes, I do. John and Bob and myself met yesterday. Yesterday. About an hour-long meeting. We are going to take a look at our ordinance one more time. We did a good job of altering it to bring on a wider scope of possible members, but there are some things that Emerson's work is really, she's been a wonderful resource for us. I kind of laughed. I met Stephanie from the IU Tree Resiliency, started to talk about planting and stuff, and I realized something that Emerson's cohorts in other towns are actually getting resources from the town because they have dedicated arbors or larger communities. Goshen is one, for example. Emerson's become a resource to us. That's been a wonderful thing. Something that we're going to work on moving forward is that Bob and, well, let's just say the streets and the tree commission and myself, town manager, is going to sit down prior to budget and take a look at the money that we're allocating. The distribution has always been 50-50, but that system seems somewhat antiquated. The needs of the town sometimes are heavier, maybe on planting or removal. Obviously, we're getting 100 new trees at the end of this year. The species list is fantastic. We're not going to need as much planting maybe next year. So it's a great conversation that John and Bob are starting to have in cooperation. And I think that's a strength. The second thing that we're really looking at is bolstering the tree ordinance once again. She wants to apply for the Tree City USA. And it's definitely something we're right on the line with. Arbor Day Society, Tree City USA suggests $2 per capita. We're well above that. We spent $30,000 this year. Last 2 years, that breaks down to around $23 probably a person, somewhere in there, rough math. So we meet all the qualifications, but just a wonderful time that Emerson is. Every Monday I meet with her for an hour and she gets me thinking about different things. Zones within town, what are the needs? Obviously, we looked at Jefferson, we looked at South Main on there. We looked at Cavalier Park and she's been working wonderfully with Karen Hine to try to get some trees around there. Oh, Schumann, got it. And Karen Hine, by the way. Sorry, I got a lot of Karens in my life now. But anyway, yeah, Karen Schumann over at the school and doing a great job there. So just excited about what we're moving towards. Which there was to know about trees.
It's interesting, my niece just brought her friends from high school up for their annual girls trip, and 2 of the girls had never been here, and they walked down to the beach, went down to the beach on a golf cart. Lucy showed them around town, and the girls came back in the house and like, this town is so beautiful. The trees are beautiful. They just were going on and on about it. For young people to notice that really made my day. I just thought, wow, we have teenagers who think our town is beautiful. It made me think, are we reaching them finally? and
You can
one of
only
them,
resist to be
one
called
of
like
them
music for
literally
so long.
said, I want to apply to the school because everything's so beautiful here and I feel happy here. And it was like, whoa, what's happening? Yeah.
Good trip. Town manager report.
Got that. Thank you. Special permits, let's begin there tonight. I have one for this evening, July 4th, celebration from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. It's an annual block party presented by Chris Reed. It's at 1035 West Shore Drive. I've had it in the past. He's the point of contact. There will be live music. Golf carts only or walking, so the streets will not be blocked, and he's made that apparent in the past. He's honored that. We haven't had issue. No road closures, no business, no need. Yes, he is providing security. There will be alcohol there. Wayne has signed off on it and has examined this. We will clean up his own house, I hope. That's good. We will have first aid provided. And yes, there will be a stage and speakers. And looks like everything else is in order, signed off, and asking for approval.
For the permit, Mr. Neer,
I'll second.
second, by Mr. Croy. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Appreciate the help on that. We've got some approvals from Bob coming in. The first one, these are pilot testing calibration for our large meters within our water system. We have several larger meters within our water system. That calibration ensures that we're getting the income off of those large areas that we provide water service for. This is not new. The first, there'll be two. I'll ask for them both at the same time. They are from Emmy Simpson, and we are looking at 2450 for the first one, and those are the meters that are with the high school and the elementary school, the senior apartments, and the Cove. The second one is for $950, and that will be for the water plant. And I ask for a motion for approval of these. They are necessary.
What was the first one?
It's 2450, 2,450. Second one would be 950. If you can do that math real quick, I might appreciate it.
To approve whatever that is.
Second house.
It's actually 3,400 playing in the house.
Mr. Croy, was did you move to that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Both,
Mr.
I think both Sally and I moved.
And Sal, and then Mr. Ricciardi, seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those same sign.
Some updates for the council. This evening in your signature portfolio here, you'll find documents that will require the signature. You've already approved it. It's for the CCMG project on Lakeshore. Those documents are in there. Karen will also sign those. Just to let you know, not to oversight those, we need to get those out so Bob can move forward tomorrow with NDOT and get the ball rolling on that project. The town portfolio, the project portfolio has been enjoyable, but also a labor of love. Trying to articulate everything we're doing. It's been helpful for me, and I find myself having an opportunity to review the documents that created the projects, as well as the financials that are going along with those projects. I beg the council's patience, but I plan to bring that to you July 10th. I think I was being a little bit optimistic thinking tonight, and that didn't happen, but we will have a detailed portfolio. The Plan Commission, as well as Culver's different commissions, including redevelopment, will also receive a copy of the plans. It was a nice request they made. Excuse me. Peer RFP is done. We will be putting out an RFP. Planning on Wednesday, we'll put an advertisement out within the papers. I'd like to hold that RFP open up on Wednesday. I have 3 companies that have expressed interest, so holding back a little bit has paid a little dividend starting in the fall. So I've got 3 companies I'll be sending it to directly. 2 more that have expressed interest. I'm going to reach back out to them, so that would give us a nice pool to choose from. This is going to be for a 3-year contract for install and removal. It will actually begin with removal, so they can take them out, and that's what a company's preference is, so they can see the storage and understand how it works. We will also be putting in 2026 the pier sockets for B. We have Tim Uhas's North Shore Fabrication had made the sockets for us. They're great quality. We'll be using that material to put in. And then we will also include in this RFP sockets for 2027. That would be Pier A and the fishing pier. And that will also require materials for those. So that will be the RFP. I'll be putting it out. No approval necessary, but I'll keep you updated as I receive information on it. The Dennis Quaid Viewpoint has gone to headed towards its final production. Things look good. That 1 minute video, my intention is to take the 1 minute commercial video. I'd like to try to distribute that to some HRs in surrounding factories, especially with some of the new factories going in north. I'd like to get with their human resource department and provide that information and possibly see if we can't get a few residents in here. I've been told we're viable for housing for those companies. I'd like to test that market and find out. So I'll be trying to arrange appointments as we finalize that video. Really appreciated the redevelopment's initial funds for the feasibility study. Oftentimes I've heard, since I've lived here, that Culver needs a hotel. Culver can't get a hotel. There's not enough people for a hotel. The winter market can't handle a hotel. We're going to have some answers. We're going to run a feasibility study per the Redevelopment Commission, and we're going to bring in a company. They have meetings. The Academy is very open to those meetings for a feasibility study. We're going to look at our surrounding region. We're going to try to get some data so we can drive a decision. If their initial feasibility study indicates that there is absolutely no way this is a hotel town, a small hotel, mind you, a 50-unit hotel is what they're looking at feasibility wise. If that's not in, then we've stopped the study. We're not out anymore. We'll at least have some data to indicate where we're at. That data will also be, I think, applicable for a lot of purposes. So we'll bring that feasibility
Just
in.
a side note that came through Marcia.
Yeah, and I was.
So if you don't have someone who actually is in charge of doing that work, how do we ever get the contact to know that there's potential opportunity? And IEDC, they get a contact for a region, Marshall County. They're going to go to economic development, not to the individual communities. So there's an example of why you have to have a conversation. I'm just going to point that out every time. Sorry to interrupt.
No, don't be sorry, because I was about ready to finish. Like, thank Greg Hildebrand for bringing that contact to the door. We had a great meeting, and that started the ball. And he was kind enough to put us in the same room and say, thank you. Appreciate it. Wayne's party was a great success. Everybody that was involved, all you have to do is sit next to Karen Hyman. You get thanked for doing something you really didn't. She did a lot of work on yesterday's party. I want to thank her. Watched her do it. Everybody chipped in. Jenny, your part, the Saturday party was fantastic. It's really nice, and had a long conversation at the end of the day with Wayne. It was kind of nice. So, and we end with raccoons, because gosh darn it, what would a town hall meeting be without raccoons in it? We are going to explore, and I'm going to put a post out to our peer community in the parks. I've used predator urine, coyote urine. Don't ask how they collect it. We're going to go ahead and spray down by the piers in the grass area in front of it. I've used it in the past. It is effective to a certain degree. We'll have to reapply every 7 days. It may have a pungent smell at the beginning, but hey, it's better than seeing your boat ripped up. We'll put it right at the pier. It's not terribly, but when we got the box today, it was pretty staunch stuff. So we're hoping that raccoons have the same response.
Do that go in. There's a pipe or a culvert or something coming out of the curb.
Yeah.
And when you turn the corner, your headlights hit it. And almost every night I'm seeing a raccoon go in it or out of it.
Well,
And I don't know if it's our sewer.
they house themselves.
Storm drain.
This is storm drain. They get in all.
Freaking me out, though, because the whole neighborhood's full of them right now. What is happening?
We definitely.
Cars?
I'll tell you what. Growing up, we had a solution for them, but apparently that's not the way we go anymore. That's why they're running out of predators, so we are getting quite a few, and do what we can. But that's ending with a note of humor, maybe. That's it. Thank you.
Ms. Heim, your report, please.
I have one claim for your approval. You know what I mean? Striker Sales Corporation, $3,678, and that is for machinery and equipment maintenance for the EMS.
Motion to approve claims over 2,500.
Motion.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Ricciardi seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Thank you. For the police department, Wayne asked me to ask you, because he wasn't able to attend tonight. Neil Wallace has completed his probationary period, and the department would like to bring him to full patrolman status, and that would raise his hourly wage from $32 per hour to $33.50, and that's the same rate of pay that the other police officers. He also requested it be effective June 16th, which is the beginning of the most recent pay period. So it would be last Monday, and that pay period ends Sunday.
Make the motion to approve the pay increase.
Ms. Monroe moves to approve the increase for Neil Wallace. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Floyd. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
And the last thing I have is I did send out to all of you a preliminary copy of the water rate ordinance with increased rates. I also sent a copy to Kevin Tankersley for his review. He said it looked okay. There's a couple of sections that were highlighted in yellow because I've still got some questions on. But we hope to introduce that ordinance at the next meeting. So it would be the first meeting in July. And then we would have a public hearing at the second meeting in July. And that notice has been submitted to the newspaper, and they're getting information out to the community. So
Karen, is there a way to add that, or maybe it's more of a policy to look at? I was gonna bring it up with the council issue anyway, but to look at our policy of, you know, and this is a unique situation because it's not a leaking toilet or a running toilet, but like my sister's got an $1,100 water bill for the month because something happened that cracked her toilet from top to bottom. No one lives in the property. No one's flushed a toilet in 6 months in the property. She goes over to pick up her mail. That's really about it. But so we don't know if there was construction going on the main line or on the road somewhere that caused this to blow. But our normal policy is if it somehow enters into our sewer system, we charge the customer. We've had people come in with $800 bills, $500 bills. I know we're going to have this software that will catch this stuff before it's 40 days in and you've been charged $1,100. But I think the policy is absurd that we would not figure out what, you know, I get a leaking toilet that you just don't take the time to fix it and you're causing the problem yourself. I talked to Kevin about it because he's trying to investigate to figure out what might have happened there.
I did get some information. I tried calling you back today, but later.
But policy wise, do we need to look at that when we do this rate increase, or is this something that's just on the books?
I think it's
Of the
just how
town
the,
policy.
there's nothing in the ordinance that specifically addresses that. So the water or the sewer forgiveness portion is a policy. And that you could, I can email out what we have currently, and let you discuss that.
Okay. And I'll just catch up with you after the meeting, but I want us to take a look at it. This is the second time at her property there's been an issue. First time was definitely a leaking issue and it was a no-brainer. But we've had other people come in before us. I think Karen, he was the last one that had one of those big, I don't even remember what the situation was. I just remember
It was a
coming
leaking.
in
The toilet was flushed and the flap
and it was
was left open and it wasn't repaired. It was
tens of thousands of gallons of her. But anyway, I want us to look at it at some point. Sessions.
So what you're saying is that it's probably something other than,
Yeah, and my thing is, we're about to make this major rate increase. So she would have been getting, if we were under the new
Yeah.
rates, it's a $3,000 bill. That's more than the mortgage on
Right.
flat houses. And I just think it's creating a hardship for some people. And when your average bill is $55 a month and you get that type of bill. It's shocking. So I'm also hoping we can get the software in place. No, that's how you read meters, et cetera, I'm guessing. Yeah. And I know that's gonna be a slow, long process, but I know that's part of it. So that's- And of course, we're the first people that get all the these things out.
Yes.
No, that's all.
Okay. Council issues. Mayor.
That was,
Just quick Lake Fest update. We are really close to reaching our goal for being able to provide the full festival that we talked about. Thanks to CRC for stepping in and helping with that. That without them, that wouldn't be possible. And so wanted to publicly recognize them. We're about $5,000 away now, so we're real close, and we think we can do it. And so we actually went ahead and moved forward with the process of making sure we had fireworks, and so we should have fireworks at Lake Fest, and those things are good. The other thing, just as a note to you, I noticed after the new sidewalks that we put on Slate Street, we had the rain yesterday. There's now flooding that wasn't there in the past. I don't know if there is just something to look into.
Yep.
The only thing I have is, again, I'd like to congratulate Wayne on his retirement. Hearing nothing else, a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Mr. Mayor moves to adjourn. Second by Mr. Ricciardi, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned.